about the neuroanatomy of the brain. So white matter and gray matter is one of the most important part which we will see. Whenever you see an MRI, we find out that there's a white matter degeneration and the gray matter degeneration. So let us understand what is white matter and the gray matter. The brain is composed of two main types of tissues. What are they? White matter and the gray matter. White matter consists of the myelinated axons. They transmit signals between the different regions of the brain. And gray matter, on the other hand, contains the cell bodies of the neurons and is responsible for information processing and neural computations. So we can understand these are myelinated axons, right? They transmit signals. The distributor of white matter and the various across different regions of the brain. The cerebral cortex, for example, is predominantly composed of gray matter, while underlying subcortical structures are mainly white matter. The structural organization allows for efficient communication and integration of information within the brain. That is why we call the architecture of the brain. See, the architecture teaches us very important thing. What? Now, if you see, earlier the neurosurgical conferences and all those conferences which we had was unspecific. All the matters were integrated. Vascular anastomosis, ultra microsurgery, spine, this. Now it has become so specific that now we are speaking when we are conducting international conferences, we are only conducting on MIS. MIS means what? Minimal invasive spine surgical procedures. So when we are speaking about white matter and gray matter, now the conferences are coming about white matter and gray matter specifically. The cerebral cortex, for example, is predominantly composed of gray matter, while the underlying support cortical structures are mainly white matter. This structural organization allows for efficient communication. So you can understand this is a composition of the brain which allows you to compose of what? It allows you to compose of the architecture of the brain, which allows you to allows for efficient communication and information. Myelination and axonal connection. So now you can understand this. The myelination is the process of coating the nerve fiber or axons with a fatty substance called myelin. This insulated layer increases the speed of electrical impulses. Transmissions allow for more efficient and coordinated brain function. Now, this is what we have to understand when we do NCV nerve conduction velocity test. The nerve is a myelin sheet. So this myelin sheet is responsible for the communication between the brain and the muscles. So we call it nerve conduction velocity test. So this velocity of the nerve. Hmm?
Okay, thank you, sir.
The integrated web of myelinated axons and their connections known as the white matter enables efficient communication between different regions of the brain. This connection supports the various cognitive, sensory, and motor functions. So there is what? Myelination and connectivity. So axonal growth. A brain develops axons extend from the new connection, creating a complex network of neural pathways. This process forms as a hexagonal growth and crucial for establishing the brain structure for functional architecture. Now, this particularly this myelination, the conductivity, the NCV test, the EMG test, and all these things now comes to a conclusion that why EEG test is done, why brain mapping is required, why stimulus is required, why calculative stimulus is required, why brain RTMS, live navigation transmagnetic stimulations, on what basis they were created. They were created basis on the basis of this architecture, the neural communications, the processing. So if there is no neural communications, there is no neural processing, what will you go? Will go under the functional deficit. You will go under what? Demyelination. Your brain will damage, your head will damage, your nerves will not function. What will you overcome? You overcome nothing. And you are bedridden. That's what we are saying. That is what I said again and again, where brain mapping is required, why it is required, what is some importance. And this mapping has been developed from years after years, and in neurosurgery and then live navigation, transmagnetic stimulations, all these are there. It's not the first time we are speaking about all this. They have been from years. So what are the neural? See, whenever we are speaking about anything, we speak about the neural circuit. So whenever there is a deficit, there is a stroke or any other degeneration inside the brain, is the problem? The circuit is gone. And when there is a demanagement in that circuit, when you have a circuit, what do you call it, short circuit, what do you see? The circuit has to be repaired. That is why we say that sitting, walking on the grasses, you see one small thing which I have made an experiment. Is there any engineer in this group? Any engineers are there? Any engineer?
What specific engineers are you looking for, Sanskrit?
Yeah, Walid, you are an engineer. So you have a multimeter, right? So
Yes,
tomorrow you
Sanskrit.
make one video. Walid, can you hear
Yes,
me? Do you
yes,
have a
I can.
multimeter?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, very good. So you take one video tomorrow, taking the multimeter reading while you're sitting on the sofa,
Yes.
right? And take another multimeter reading while you're walking on the grass and sitting on the grass. You do two multimeter, three multimeter readings you make and send in the group
From where?
in one
From what
video.
point to what point do you want me from? Both hands?
Anywhere, just put on your hands,
Problem.
put in your hands
No problem.
and see the voltage measurement of the body. So whenever we were working on the whiteboard, we were told not to touch the circuits. Why? Because the our electricity of the hand will destroy the circuit.
That is true.
It will destroy the IC. So you are supposed to catch the IC with the what you called
With the touch
forceps.
pen.
You catch the IC which what?
You use the for the whiteboard. You use the touch pen
Touch pen or
for the digital
anything
board. Yes.
digital pod or something we call forceps. When you put it in on when you put it on the whiteboard.
Yes.
So
Okay.
so the most important part we should understand what is the importance of earthing, what is the neural communication circuit, what are the things we have to undergo, what are the things we have to understand. That when you walk on the grass, your voltage is definitely reduced. your voltage is reduced. But when you sit on the head, you see large number of diseases are created because we don't have earthing. We have a high voltage, and that is why it was created that we all should walk in the morning. We should walk barefooted on the grasses. So sedentary lifestyle has destroyed our whole life. When we speak about the vegan diet, right? In Indian philosophy, it was always said, vegan diet, the water from the well. In Jainism, it is still said. And now we are giving new definition to these things. What are the new definition we are adding? Mineral water, vegan diet. From years we have supported this, and now we are westernizing this thing. If you see the culture of Nigeria and everywhere, if you see the ethics of this culture, if you see the ethics of Islam, and if you see the ethics of eating food, the way of cooking food, how religiously we used to cook our food. I still remember we were never allowed to wear the slippers inside the kitchen. Yeah. We were so cautious that any glass which touched our lips should not enter the table. And because of that, our health was so good that we came out of ventilator so quickly. But if I put youngsters today on ventilator, I think tapak. So that is what important is part we have to understand today. That there is a neural circuit for receiving information from the environment and information processing. This integrated is to be interpreted the sensory information and motor output, generating a response of your behavior. So there is a sensory information input, you receive informations, you process the informations, and you give a output. This is what we call central processing unit, the neural circuits. So whenever there is some damage inside the brain or whenever there is a damage inside the neurons, this communication comes as error. There is a loop in this communication. The algorithm which was made, the communication mathematical calculation which was made, the neural pathways which was made is disrupted. So when these neural pathways are disrupted and everything is gone, we think that the things are finished. But then we must understand the concept of neuroplasticity. That these circuits can be rebuilt, the connections, the synapse, the chemicals, everything has a pathway inside the brain. But we have to enter that. वो रास्ते पर चलना हो. It is a very good saying in Indian saying was from Terapant. He used to say, I'll repeat in Hindi, I'll quote and unquote. मिला मिलेगा इससे सबको आध्यात्मिक अवदान प्रभु ये तेरा पंथमा. Now, if you bring this sentence in neural communication, it is not the path which we created. The neural communications, the architecture of the brain was not created by us. We are trying to intervene that communications with the help of lot of things. We have lot of features today. But when we speak about those features, how much is required and how much is to be given, that is most calculative features we have to understand today. So that the circuit is not disrupted. And the circuit has three parts. What the sensation you have received from your eyes, ears, mouth, and everything. Then the information which you are processing. Right? And then the motor output. What is the output of the what output you are giving? Now you have said together. You are expecting something for me to speak from my experience and knowledge. So I am seeing some of your eyes, some of your faces. And as per that communication of your eyes, the verbal and non-verbal communication I am receiving, I am giving an output. So I am receiving sensory output from my eyes. I am processing in my brain and I am speaking out. This is called neural circuit. So whenever, for example, a person eyes is gone, so he receives an extra sensory information in his fingers. His ears becomes very alert. A new pathway is developed inside his brain. I've seen those people who are deaf. I used to treat deaf people, right? I've learned sign language from them. So when I went to the deaf school, I was finding very difficult to understand what was their problem, what they want to speak. And one day I was very frustrated. After 7, 8 days, I was too frustrated. I said, I don't understand anything what they are saying. Suddenly, the president came and talked to me. And he spoke to me for around 1 hour. And I was asking him, are you deaf or you are pretending to be deaf or you are helping them as a social worker? He said, I am deaf. I said, how did you learn what I'm speaking? He said, by the movement of your lips. And he had said me a very beautiful sentence at that time. You know what? If you learn this language here with these people, you can communicate anywhere in the world. And today I tell you, when I go to Italy, when I go to France, when I go to Germany, I use this sign language. The information which I received 25 years back, today it is helping me in my daily activity of life. I'm able to talk to people and I'm able to revive their voices.
Wow.
All these things are happening.
सर इसीलिए आप वॉइस बंद करके वीडियो ऑन रखते हैं क्या सर? क्या आप
हाँ,
उनका
इसलिए
क्या
वो कम्युनिकेशन सीखता हूँ आप लोगों का. व्हाट आर यू थिंकिंग, व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड, कितना आप समझ पा रहे, कितना बोल पा रहे, कितना मैं लाइन ट्रैक पर हूँ, मैं कितना डिस्ट्रैक्ट पे हूँ. ऑल दिस आई अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम योर मोबाइल,
यस सर
फ्रॉम योर verbal and
पोस्चर
non-verbal
ओके
communication. That is what we call, I built it up a circuit. I started behaving like a deaf person, and after some time, it happened like that with me. In certain times, I go so much in that flow, I tell you, that I forget I'm not a deaf person. I, sometimes I stop speaking, and then when I speak to these deaf people for 1 hour or 2 hours, I forget how to speak. Although now I've forgotten much of the sign language, but then I know this. Yesterday, tomorrow, these facial expressions, the non-verbal communication. I was able to talk to all the Malaysians, Italians, Germans when I was treating them. I was able to tell when I came to Telangana, I was able to tell them, I don't know a single word of Telugu. But then I started speaking my this verbal communications. Miss, I'll put the needle here. We will check your feet and my hand like this. We'll check the resistancy. Once the power is achieved, you'll be able to walk. Are you clear? I learned 25 years back. But the circuit which developed, the neuroplasticity, they developed at this time. If I just practice for a few more days, I tell you, I'll become a very good deaf teacher. And that is what the circuit has to be built up. It's just like swimming, it's just like driving. I always see people coming in the class and they are so much afraid of brain stimulation. This will happen, that will happen. I always laugh and say, neuroplasticity do not happen in this. If you want, it can happen. Otherwise, it will never happen. People always ask me which pen I should buy. Should I be in hurry? I said, for all these years, are you in hurry? I'm not hurry. I am this. I'm not hurry. I'm MK Sastry. I'm not hurry. So everything takes time, Smaj. To convince yourself is the biggest difficult. You can convince the whole world, but to convince yourself is very difficult. You know why? Yesterday, someone called up from one state of India and she was asking me, so what is the relation between the heart and the brain? I was laughing for a minute and then I was saying, Madam, if you just read the anatomy of the heart and brain, it's a very simple anatomy. If the heart stops for a minute, 30 seconds, the brain will go in hypoxia and stop further for 10 more seconds, the patient will die. This is the relation between the heart and the brain. What else kind of relation you want? If the brain is dead, the body is dead. What is the use? There is no information processing. It's just like a dead body. There's no chance of a revival. And when you put a patient on coma for a long time, and if you don't work with the circuits, and just you keep putting on physiotherapy here, there, that is required. Physiotherapists must, because the muscles will become atrophied, it will become stiff, the contractures will come. So passive physiotherapy is must in that cases. But until you repair the circuits, when you work with the neural circuits, until you give brain stimulations and talk, until you put nerve stimulations, do we think the processing will happen inside the brain? Today, a very good doctor came to our chamber, Dr. H.S.R. Arora. He is a war veteran from 1972 and all he has gone. He has gone to the glaciers, Siachen and all those areas. And he was saying a very beautiful saying, you know what? In spite of knowing what we have in ourselves, we forgot and we're looking outside. All these circuit connections are there inside the brain. We have to just put a bridge between them. I'm not ready to do that. Why? Because who stops us? Who stops us from learning? Who stops us from writing? I always say, please write. What did you learn today in the group? No one is thinking. Why? If you don't write, will you remember? That is called revision. So you don't do any revisions. You don't do anything. At the end of the day, what is your marks? 10 by 0 or minus 2. Because you know you have so many sensations, so many inputs. You know, without brain stimulation and all, we are failure. So whatever you have learned comes to a question. So with these questions, when you go in a clinic, you are neither here nor there. That is why I say, whatever you are learning should be very fruitful, objective, and really oriented. And that is why the basics are important. What is brain architecture? What is the structure? What is the structure inside the brain? So if you don't understand the structure inside the brain, when you see next time the gray matter demyelination, white matter demyelination, you understood. There's a mistake when you say white matter. There's a sensory deficit. Sensory information is not coming. When you say about gray matter, you understand the processing is not happening. And so there is no output. Now, if you signify paralysis, it's very simple. The hands are not giving information to the brain, and brain is not able to process and give it back to the hands. The to and fro communications, which has to be, which has been established in years of communications from the birth to now, has been disrupted. And you are trying to rebuild this connection. Yes, that is the beautiful part that you can rebuild it. There's nothing which you cannot do. But the question is how much you can do and what is your capability to that you have to improve. And this is what the sensory input and what it's the same example which I gave. I have learned 20 years back about the language of signals, signs, right? And this language of signs, after 20 years, when I'm going abroad, are still helping me to understand. I tell them, see in my eyes. Now, so the radiculopathy which you have is how much? This expression of the eyes, language, young fingers, I communicate around the world. So when I speak, I cannot sit and speak. I'm learning how to sit and speak right now. But my real communication comes when I speak and write. So when I go to Bangalore or when I go to Gurgaon, I have a very small whiteboard in Gurgaon, you know that? And the entire class in Gurgaon, I take it a very small whiteboard. And then I see, wow, this is a real communication which we have learned. A small whiteboard, 2 by 3. We have no infrastructure, but yet we are producing some of the best physicians from there.
Great, sir.
And that's what I have learned. I tell you this because I'm giving you this confirmation because the circuit has to be made. So you have to be very concentrated in the class. Why? Because today you say you're trying to learn something which is not in the book. But when you see the basics of the book of Ganong, Human Physiology of Ganong, and other books, you will understand this is the basics. When you read internal medicine by Harrison, Davidson, you will realize that what we are fighting with, these bacteria are inside our body, but our immune system has become weak. So we are fighting against this extra growth of a colony of the bacteria because we gave the opportunity to them to grow in ourselves. You understood what I mean to say? You understood what I mean to say?
Yes,
See,
sir.
one thing I want to tell you. One thing I want to tell you. My work is not to fill your mind with facts and figures. Only my work is to regrow your brain ability to think and analyze. Until you think and analyze, you cannot give a what?
Best result,
A
sir.
relative. You cannot give any output because your processing is not there. When you read a MRI and you don't understand that MRI, what action you have to take, you don't.
Yes, sir. Yesterday's example, sir, you are saying that due to shoulder wall, that problem is Pandian doctor said that is
Dr. Pandian case, the
yes, sir.
case of the
Yeah.
Pandian. See, the question was that we have limited ourselves to the hearing input. After 3 minutes or 2 minutes, we stop hearing information, right? So we are not able to process it. But whenever the patient speaks to me certain things and he repeatedly speaks to me certain things, I just hear every word of him.
True, sir.
And then I process it. Continuously, I process it. And then I try to answer every question, whichever comes to me.
True, sir.
For example, yesterday you asked me what is bradycardia, right? I said, you have to give me some time to write. You just cannot say me that why I have selected this acupuncture point. I must have the reason why I have selected it. Out of 365 points, I have selected only 12 points. And according to me, these 12 points would be efficient enough to give the support. But when you are speaking about the support of the bradycardia or anything, you must have the sufficient knowledge of dealing with bradycardia. What is bradycardia? The heartbeat is BPM is low. Beat per minute is low. It may be because of acidosis. Acidosis can be because of the lungs, because of the heart. So all these things you have to study. And I tell you, by hearing this conversation for 2 hours every day, at the year end, you will find out, oh, all these are very easy. What you think now is stuff is very easy at the year end. Because by the year end, you have sufficient information. But when you go to apply it on practical part, you are not able to do it. Why? Because first of all, you don't insist for revisions. You don't write things. Whatever you have understood, you never write. You never admit that I have learned this much. So what happens? It becomes a long-term memory, becomes a short-term memory. You forget. 90% of the things you forget by tomorrow because you have other things to do in life. The first thing I always advise people, and even today what I do, I write books. You know why I write books? Because the long-term, short-term information which I have gathered in my clinic, the problems which I have faced, I can process it in the book and I keep writing it. Whole night I keep writing. So you will see me. I keep my postings at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. Whatever I have learnt in the day, it has to come on the writing. And that is my revision. So the pH value, all these things, blood cultures, pH values, ABG, the CO2 level, all these things are important. So if you think critical care is not good or this is not good, the achievements cannot be made, I don't think so that is there. Achievements, things can be improved only when you want it to be. Circuits are becoming. And once these circuits are established, it is permanently established until you disrupt them. It is said once you become Buddha or Mahavir or you become Christ, no one can make you a devil. And that's just the power of the circuit. That is why I say when you study, you should study it in such a way. I am a IS coach. I teach IS aspirants, right? So my first saying to everyone is that revision is the most important part of the life. Whatever you read, you always see me. I keep on putting the slides every day. I keep on repeating the same thing in the other words every day. Why? Because there is 100% chance I'll forget things. And that is why we are told to revise everything, every time, every day. So visual pathway begins with the retina when the light is converted into neural signal, goes to the ophthalmic nerve to the thalamus and then to primary visual cortex in the occipital and the visual outcome is there. So this is the visual pathway. So anything in this from the retina to the optic nerve to the thalamus to the primary visual cortex in the occipital lobe to perceive, interpret the visual information. This is called the pathway, which starts from the retina, where the light is converted into neural signals. These signals travel through the optic nerve to the thalamus and then to the primary visual cortex, VT, V3A, V7, V7A, VT, V3, V13, 13A, and 16. These are the part of the visual cortex. They have magnifiers, right? So the pathway, if anything is disrupted in this pathway, you cannot see whether the right, whether the optic nerve, the brain, or the visual cortex, or the occipital lobe. So sound might enter the ear. and transit into neural impulse to cochlea. Now, if there is the neural impulses in the cochlea are not processed, and then they don't ascend to the brainstem, and then the auditory cortex to the temporal lobe, allowing us to perceive, understand various sounds and auditory cues. So you can understand the decimals has to be reduced. That is why we say higher sound gives a lot of pollution. This pollution is not good for your health. It's not good for your understanding. It's not good for your processing. Your health is deteriorating. Not only because of this, because of the light. You just you go in a sound very close pathways where there is very I we went to Valmiki and other places where there is hardly one car. And when I went to Nepal and some other paths, and we saw things about from the telescope, we saw the stars are very clear. The celestial sky is very clear. But when I come to Hyderabad, there's so much light pollution. You cannot see stars here. The images which we saw on the telescope, the higher magnifying telescope, what we saw in Nepal and what we are seeing in India is very different. Why? Because of the light pollution.
Okay.
And that is the reason we are suffering every day from diseases. We have created so much pollution. And this pollution is getting more pollution because of our own thoughts and energies. We always try to find a comfort zone for ourselves. And I'm sure there is no comfort zone. Comfort zone is created by your own self. People tell me, why do I stay in Hyderabad and I struggle like this? I said that if I go to a comfort zone, I won't be able to struggle. And that won't bring a refined quality in myself. I won't be able to take decisions. And I have to take the decisions. And how to take strong decisions, that is most important part we have to understand. So when your ground networking is good, when you have gone through all these experiences of life, you are able to take decisions. For example, I was on intubator. He was speaking me, sir, you may have acidosis, you may have this, you may have that, and you may have go permanently disabled. All these things he was telling me. I said, fine. But if you don't intubate me now, what will happen? He said, the things are more dangerous. Then I said, which is safe? Intubation or non-intubation? He's saying intubation. Go ahead. Put me on life support system and let the God decide the journey. This is what I say to the patient, and that was what my statement was. There was no attender with me. But my sexual circuit was so strong that uh, we were able to understand what was going on. It's just like when you have neural deficit or sensory deficit. The sensory information which has to be gone from the skin to the brain, the muscles, the joint, to the thalamus, and to the primary somatosensory cortex at the parietal lobe. And if anything is disabled in between, the nerve sensations which are disabled, you are asking me what is the importance of nerve conduction velocity test. Now you understand what is the importance of nerve conduction velocity test in paralysis. What is the importance of a team? Now you understand this. The brain is a teamwork. Things are a teamwork. So if your teamwork is not good, can you succeed?
Mm.
Yes. Why our input is very less in this class? We have so many people who wants to learn. But because the common man, you people don't understand. You are not able to overcome your own resistance, your own fear, what people will say. And I say, people will say nothing. Because if you hear them, you lose your knowledge. You are so much worried about others Did you forgot what is your importance in life? Am I right or wrong?
True, sir. Right, sir.
And that is why you say that these pathways are not mine. These are the
Yes, you're
self-created
right.
pathways inside the brain. Have a very beautiful architecture. And you are made for doing something very good because you have 1 billion neurons. And you see where you're putting your energy, where you're putting your directions. We do not know how many trillions of synaptic connections we have. And every part of the brain is supportive to what you want to do. The studies which was made that after the age of 70, people cannot revive. We found it is wrong. We did not give enough chance for the patient to revive. We ourselves said, oh, it is not possible. We are the one who have taken wrong decisions. We have all, because our input information was not correct. So someone told me, this is not written in the textbook. Okay. I said, I just had one lecture of Acharya Rajneesh, Bhagwan Osho. So he said, okay, I write the textbook. I did the same thing. It is not written in the textbook. Okay, I write down in the stem cell therapy book. Oh, this is my experience. He said there is no book on brain mapping. Okay, we gave all the notes on brain mapping. Now you stimulate and revive the nerves. You revive, you do reinnervation. Why you are not able to do? Because your revisions are not correct. Your inputs are not correct. So you are not able to process it. You want to learn. That is very good. But until you make your learning a proper learning and a proper understanding, you cannot improve yourself. And until your thought process is improved, that is what we call intention. Until your intention is good and your information processing is good, you'll not be able to recover a single patient in your life. I hardly see doctors after money. Money will come, but your quality should be of that good. Yesterday, one of our students referred me one case. I spoke to the orthopedic surgeon, but the orthopedic surgeon said very clearly one thing. Why should we risk the money, health of the life? I'll get 70,000 for this surgery, right? Or 80,000 for 1 hour of work. But he said, the age is 78 years, and we don't want to take the risk of the life of the patient. If they want to keep on conservative and rehabilitative procedure, the patient will recover. Why to take that risk? But if there was a greedy orthopedician or someone else who would have been there, I don't say all the doctors are non-greedy, all the doctors are greedy. But with due regard, just give me 1 minute. See, my information system is so good. I have read that. How do I remember things? You come after 5 years also, I remember things very well. Why? You tell me. Because when I write the reports, I make the nurse write every detail of what I have seen. The patient was admitted on so not date. This is the remark of the neurosurgeon. This is the remark of the neurologist. This is the remark of the respiratory physician. This much therapy was given. And then I analyze and I say the respiratory care has to be given more importance. Chest PT has to be double. Respiratory care has to be triple. Suctioning is not proper. There is secretions. Work with this for 3 4 days, and I'm sure we'll overcome this. Nebulize it for QID 4 times a day. But when I come to this conclusion, when I write notes, and after writing notes, I sit for 20 minutes and analyze with a diagram. Where is the problem? Now you understand why different pens are required, why different maps are required, why such instruments are very costly. These instruments are so costly because to develop inputs, the research, the years of research, making the warranty, the postal cost, and the output to be regained. If you see, our pens are very cheapest one in the world because you are getting a free training, you are getting everything for free, and continuous support, continuous education. But if you go for brain mapping or any other things, if you buy from those people, from the Sweden company, they will train you only once or twice, but they don't know what to do again. If there is such a problem inside the patient, where will you go? You go nowhere. Because in Germany and other countries, when you speak about the inputs are very bad. The professors are non-approachable. It's not like India that you can approach the professors there. The professors and HODs are non-approachable.
Hmm.
So this is what is required. Why you have to revise, why you have to continue doing things, why you have to do repeatedly tasks, why repeated physiotherapy is required, why things are required, why the muscles have to be trained, why the brain neural circuit processing has to be improved. Then you will see the functional recovery. But once you see the new functional recovery, it is recovered forever. We have learned these hard lessons from very bad times of our life. So what is motor planning? So now you can understand motor control pathways. Now you will understand one by one what is the importance of this architecture. The most difficult architecture in the world is the brain architecture. How it inputs, how it processes it. It has a innumerable, I say it's gigabytes. You can store information up to gigabytes. I still remember when I was a student of class KG, I have those information stored in my brain after 40 years. And I can recall them. You also can recall them. This is the power of the sensory information. So when motor planning we see originating the frontal lobe, motor planning coordinates the execution of voluntary movements.
Motor cortex.
The primary motor cortex directs the body muscles to carry out the complex and skilled movements. So motor planning is originated in the frontal lobe. Motor planning coordinates the execution of voluntary movements. So this is the motor planning. If the sensory information is not correct, the nerve impulse is not correct, you cannot create this motor planning. So nerve conduction velocity is important. This is where you can improve the nerve conduction velocity. Which nerve is weak? Which nerve supply is improving the muscle? How to improve that pathway of the brain to get the sensory output, the motor output. So that planning, that this much force is required. This much force is required in this muscle. For example, I have to carry this. Can you see this in my hand? What is
Mouse.
this?
Mouse, na, sir?
Can you see anything?
Mouse, sir?
Can you see something in my hand?
Yes, sir, mouse.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
it is
Yes.
mouse, sir.
Mouse,
Right.
sir.
It is mouse, right. So do I need to put 10 kgs, 10 Newton of force to carry this mouse or 100 grams?
100 gram.
Less than 100 grams. But how this
100.
processing took place? From the eyes, the image processing, which we had. Now, if you go to the paralysis patient, what will happen? To just put one occupational therapy to a what you call bar from year to year, you apply a force of more than 5 kgs. You put his entire force because the motor planning is not there. How much planning, how much force has to be applied by which muscle is not there. So the first thing which has to be improved in a paralysis patient is sensory inputs.
Okay.
Because the sensory input will improve the motor planning. Write down the notes. Walia writing? Shivani? शिवानी लिख रही कि नहीं लिख रही पूछ
Yes,
हाँ नोट्स लिख रहा है कि नहीं लिख रहा है तुम
yes, sir.
क्लास में आते ही तुम चालू हो जाओ नोट्स लिखने के लिए यू आर वेरी फेमस ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड यू नो व्हाई even Cherian sir is looking for your notes. I have sent her your written notes to her. It has already gone to the African surgeons. I told you, associating yourself with me is not a joke. You have to be, you are working with the finest people. Everyone is looking for what you are teaching. Okay, these are the notes. I have never read what they have written, but I hope you understand something. The best neurosurgeon from Australia, Charlie Teo, was reading the maps which you have made. And then they were saying, wow, what is this? We don't understand. And I said, you try this and you see whether there's improvement or not. Okay, let me try. You have to put it like this, right? And put this needle over here. Now you see, ask your physiotherapist, not you, to take the sensory information. And then the output before and after, the impulse given inside the brain with this pain and this pain is same or not. You have taken brain muscle pain, but there's a contracture and the quadritum lumborum is not moving. So the mapping and the impulse should be correct. Oh, we never thought like this. So this is what we thought of higher things, but we forgot about the basics. How the muscle moves, how you work. This is the basics which is required, beta. So if the sensory information is not correct, for the skin, the information from the hand to the brain is not processed. The sensory information is not processed. You won't be able to improve. So according to me, the best way to put the patient to recover from occupational therapy is to make them ensure to PS5. In my clinic, I made occupational therapy integrated with brain stimulation with PS5. And I saw the improvement is very good. And people likes to that. There is no adrenaline crisis, but the synaptic connections are improving day by day. You can see the moya disease is one of the most difficult disease. And we are able to recover the deficit of moya disease by using this sensory input and output and the interest taken by the patient. Now, if you give him these bars, what input he will get? There is no interest. You put some balls, bars, chocolates. Radu, things have changed. Now you put PS5 and allow him to drive the car. Now I'm trying to get the flight stimulators. After some time, I'm trying to get one jet plane stimulator. And then I want to see how the patients are improving. So this is what is required. You know, the robots which we have created for the recovery of the patients, Dr. Colonel Ramdas, who's a very good spine surgeon and a neurosurgeon from Karat, said a very beautiful sentence in Miss Bacon. The robots which you are using for active and passive movements, how they allow the muscles to function? The muscles are becoming more and more weak because the robot has replaced the functioning of the muscles. The moment you remove the robot from the patient, the output which you have generated, the motor output is reduced because the muscles have to become voluntary and you are making them every day involuntary. So this motor control pathways we have to understand. And this is what I was saying. You want to recover a CP child, very good. You want to do things very good. But are we able to go through one, two, three, four pathways? Are we able to develop those circuits inside the brain where the sensory information is put up to the motor cortex, where the occipital lobe conveys the information to the frontal lobe process, take decisions and executes to the motor cortex? Are we doing this? So what are we treating? Shivani, what are we treating in the clinic? Open your mic and say, are we doing in this way? मेरा बात सुनेगा तब ना समझ में आएगा. किसी से बात करते हुए थोड़ी ना सुनाई देता है. I said, are we developing the circuits inside the brain? When you put a robot as skeletons, I was so frustrated that after taking so much efforts, talking to DRDO, TOT, everything we have signed to make to 5 crore rupees robot to 5 lakh rupees, right? Everyone was telling me skeletons cannot be developed in 5 lakh rupees. Now skeletons are developing in 5 lakh rupees. We have worked day and night. I know tomorrow my name is not nowhere in the research. My name will not be there anywhere in the input output. The product is in the market. But when I was using that product myself, I realized it's very good. Well, one time I was thinking it will create this motor control pathways. But later on I came to realize all this involuntary movement will how much help me. It is only to rejoice my mind, not my brain. Because the information is processed by the skeletons. It is just like giving them a ability to walk and run and do all these things. But it is not improving their capability to improve them. It is just like a stopgap arrangement. So, motor cortex, which directs the muscles to carry out all complex and skilled movements. Now, when you are doing vascular anastomosis, right? Are you trained for vascular anastomosis? Tying up the what you call suturing the vessels, blood vessels. Are you capable of doing that? Are you capable to tie up two arteries inside the brain? To blood vessels inside the brain? No.
No, sir.
Why?
No training.
Even the OT staff of Karat is doing that. He's a nurse. ANM, not even GNM. Forget about that.
ANM.
Yeah, ANM. And they are kids. And that's what I want. ANM is better than us. You imagine? Because he went to that environment to learn. And he developed those complex movements. You don't know how much force you have to apply. A very light force has to be applied. You should have a very deep control on your breathing. And then you see, when you have a control of your breathing, when you have a control on your fingers, you see the most beautiful meditation of the world you have done.
Wow.
What is meditation? The control of breathing and control of actions and the very perfect sensory output. And how it develops, you tell me? I frequently go there and I try to build a relationship with the nurses over there who are doing it. And they're teaching me very nicely because they have some time. The neurosurgeons, the residents will not teach anything. The nurses will teach me because they want to teach.
Wow.
Yes, they want to teach. It satisfies their ego. And it satisfies the ego of the chief also, the chief neurosurgeon. That see, my people are capable of teaching Mr. Sastry also, yes. And I say, see, Mr. Sastry is learning so nicely. Who is teaching me this skill after 4 years? No one knows. But the skill which I have acquired today, skills which I have acquired 20 years back in the deaf schools, the skills which I have acquired today in the neurosurgery ward, the skills which I have acquired in critical care, the skills which I have studied and acquired from the electrodiagnostic medicines and all this. Can you snitch away the skills? Who taught me? What taught me? No one matters. But when it comes to the communication level, today I am saying, oh, you should go for Miss. Who is the best person in the Miss in India? I know those names. Who can do the olive? Who can do the tea leaf? Because I go through the case studies every day. Who is performing what? We know that today. So if you ask me to the best person to obtain in university, I'll say go to Chadian. If you ask me for Miss, I'll say go to Karthik Krishnan or go to Varun Agarwal in Bareilly. He's a master of olive. He's the one who can do fixation in 20 minutes in local anesthesia. But for obtaining those output, I've gone through various inputs and processing. And every day I see what cases they are doing, why they are sharing, what they are sharing. The gap which you have built up in yourself and in between me and you is the biggest gap you have built up. That's called the communication gap. And this communication gap is the result of paralysis. When these communication gaps are reduced, the synapse becomes strong. The synaptic connections become strong. The neural pathways are built up. Your output is very good. Now you were asking me one question. So when are you going to teach me? So when you don't know what is motor control pathways, what way will you learn about basal ganglia? So when you don't know what is the role of basal ganglia, you don't know which input of the point will stimulate the basal ganglia. It's what voltage, which pain will involve in it. Today we are giving you shortcuts, right? But tomorrow, when you come to the real field, when we are dead, what will you do? So to become independent, we must know the total architecture of the good synaptic connections, the neural communications, the inbuilt communications. When there is a short circuit, how to repair it? You should be a very good electrician. When you are electrical and communication engineer, then you can make algorithm inside the brain. And this algorithm is called the processing power. So when these processing powers are not there, then the cerebellum is injured. The fine movements you lose the fine movements, the timing. You don't know how to conclude the decisions. Now, what decisions you are able to take, you are not able to take because your basal ganglia is injured. You are eating with. You should be thankful to basal ganglia. You should be thankful to the motor cortex. You should be thankful to the occipital lobe that he has given you those skills. But can I expect a NDA, National Defense Academy skills in a villager? No, he's not been trained. That is why I was just seeing yesterday one input that the president of USA has been escorted by 5 jet aircrafts. right? Any of the pilot can kill the president of America. And he can finish the most powerful person. He can hijack the president of America any moment. But they are trained in such a way, these thoughts are not in them. That is why the training, the wisdom, the knowledge, all should be there in you. Otherwise, a knowledge without wisdom and wisdom without skill is no use. If your foundation is not correct, nothing can be a very good outcome. That is why I always say, please write notes and give it in the whatever you have understand. After going out of the classroom, just take 10 minutes. What I have learned. Forget, put it in the group. Let me see what you have learned. And tomorrow you will learn more better than what you have learned. This is the processing. One, two, three, four. This is how you recover paralysis. The information, the processing, and the output has to be proper. Then only you can acquire how much force has to be applied for what reason. The entire physiotherapy is maintained to train the muscles for that. But then we are not able to take the complex decisions. The muscles are not able to take the complex decisions. So first you have to start with the easy decisions, then you go to the complex movements. Am I right, Shivani?
Yes, sir.
Why? Why simple to complex? Why not from complex to simple?
So simple movements involve less number of muscles and complex movements involve more
Yeah,
muscle. It is easy
yeah,
to train a
yeah, right.
small group of muscle or a single action.
Yeah, a single action and an easy action involves less muscles, less pressure on the brain. Because now the brain is learning how to calculate the force. But when you take a complex action, a complicated movement like vascular anastomosis, for example, uh, any physician is here, any doctors, medical doctor is here, any person in the group is a medical doctor. Anyone is a medical doctor here? I think medical doctors may be absent today. Anyway, so now how emotion, intelligence, and emotional maturity is important. Why I am always different from others. You know, what is Dr. Cherian says about me? You ask him, Dr. Cherian, go and ask him in the small pathway. Sir, what do you think about Mr. Sastry? The last sentence he will say, he's a weird person, but a fantastic person. Why? His way of thinking and analysis is something which I also did not understand after 15 years. He thinks something and he speaks about the very basics. And we are speaking about advanced things. I said, without basics, how will you know the advanced? You don't know how to control your emotions. You'll control and do what? Suicide. Because you do not know how much pressure you're putting on the limbic cortex. You see how we have spoiled the life of our own children. Why it is necessary for them in our class nursery, KG 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why don't you say them? Whatever you earn is okay, but life is a big run to lesson to learn. कुछ ना कुछ तो करके खा ले. Why to put so much pressure on these children? Because their decision making will become wrong. The limbic cortex will be destroyed. The emotions will suppress them. And they will become the biggest enemy of the society. This is where the brainwash is done. So, you see, those teachers who have loved us, in class nursery, KG, and 1, we are not able to forget them after even being taught by the best professors of the world. I'm not able to forget Dr. Cherian in any moment of my life. I've not been able to forget H.L. Dwivedi Saab, who was the founder of stem cells. When I was writing my dedication, whom should I dedicate this book? I said the first dedication goes to my students. Second dedication goes to my Dr. Cherian, who gave me wings. He taught me how to fly in the sky. And third goes to Dr. H.L. Dwivedi, who taught, he has died. I never know him. I never saw him. But Bharat Tiwari is a principal of the physiotherapy college of the best kidney hospital in India. He brought me in contact with the notes, thesis, works. From his mouth only he told me. But I analyzed everything what he taught. And I started working on stem cells more deeply and deeply. And today, when what was not written in textbook, I wrote those things in the textbook and I said, okay, it is not written. Well, I have written it. You can read it. So I found these things missing. Yes. I did not find this book, chapters in the book. I went in the clinic. I found this is the problem I faced. I never found the role of NCB in paralysis. But when I worked with the role of NCB in paralysis, cervical radiculopathy, lumbar radiculopathy, I was able to identify the nerves. Then I was able to identify PNIT therapy. And now, working with the nerve, PNITs, prolotherapy, in support with NCB studies, the recovery is much easier. The firing of the nerves has become less. The pain is reduced. And that is called why I call myself, I am MK Sastry. Mind that. This is where you got inspirations because you are involved with good thoughts. You are not involved with the reels. So whatever you see in Facebook and all, see good thoughts, good people. Hear what Dr. Cherian is saying. Cleaning and cooling of the brain. Maintaining the temperature inside the brain. How meditation helps. How you motivate others to join the class. Increases your own motivation. And everything contributes to your improvement. Every difficulty will give you a pathway of recovery. Now you see, limbic system is very important because it tells you what kind of execution of signals you have to say. When a saint or a person like me comes to you, you write all good words to me. But when your enemy comes, you give a boxing to him. Why? Because that is emotions you develop. For example, I keep telling you, you pay me 40,000 rupees for my class. What is your emotions? Enemy emotions. That is greedy, this, that, nonsense. Because from childhood to now, you have been taught to invest on money for your personal comfort. This is the emotions you have attached yourself with the refrigerator. You have attached your emotions with the TV. You have attached your emotions with the decorations. But you have never attached yourself with the emotions of decorations of your mind. Mind can be beautifully decorated when you go to breathing, when you go to chanting, when you read good books, when you come with the encounter of every good thought. And when the wrong times of your life comes, the difficult moment of your life comes, these wrong thoughts motivates you. Now, whatever you have done today is your tomorrow's motivation. because you know what is the truth. So when you say after 5 years the paralysis patient has not recovered, understand? Where is the limbic cortex? Where is the neural pathway? Complex neural circuits connected with the limbic system, prefrontal cortex, the life for the integration of emotional progressive, cognitive control, neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, norepinephrine play crucial roles in modulating these pathways and influencing the emotional regulations. Now you are angry. You see how much you have damaged your brain. When you are jealous, you have damaged your brain. You have done no harm to the society, but you have harm to yourself. No one can harm more than you to yourself because you have developed yourself in such a way, in such a methodology, to such a circuit. You have developed such a circuit inside the brain that your outputs are wrong. And no one can be held responsible for your wrong outputs. If you don't correct yourself every day, tomorrow where you are, you started from 10, you ended with 0. And that is what is required. You have to understand the role of everything. And then only you can correct the impairments. You can correct the psychiatric impairments, the emotion regulations, to control the emotions, to control yourself. You know, one story was there when Dr. Aichedian was resigning, suddenly he resigned, and I became deeply emotional. I was not even in a mood to stay for 1 hour in Karachi. It was just like I was feeling I am a widow and I've been put up with all type of items. In India, it is prohibited. I'm supposed to be in white sari. It was the moment I see. And then I narrated that incident, a daughter going from father's house. And this emotions of mine are so much pricked by so many people that a person who has no relation with Karak has written such beautiful sentences. And third day the message came, I have revoked my resignation. Please remove your message. And that is a part of emotional intelligence, but emotional maturity, where your intention is clean, where your ideas are clear, and when you are without fear, to that power, let my country away. And that decisions are made by a good training. This good training creates a good circuit. This good circuit gives you a higher consciousness of mind. And this higher consciousness drains out all the what? It is sewage. Sewage means gandagi, the drainage. All the neuroproteins are cleaned out and you reach a higher level of consciousness for which we were born down. And that is how the ISKCON was formed, the Krishna level of consciousness. This is how Therapant was formed, the Mahavir level of consciousness. That is why you are trained in such a way that you have to eat one time. You are not supposed to have any sexual mind. And the brain is trained in such a way that now, if you ask me, Sastriji, are you involved in sexual relationship? I say no. Those circuits are only not there. If you ask me what is a sexual relationship circuit, I will say I don't have those circuits. I was never trained. My thoughts, my angerness, all have gone because the domination is finished. Now, why should I dominate you? Do as you like. This is what we call the thought processing, the emotional processing, and the external stimulus. If all these things are correct, then it becomes a perfect circuit system in which you can see a good recovery of the patient. And this is what I call the brain is very flexible. It's an ability to reorganize, modify structure and function in response. If you say Indian history, the neuroplasticity has been explained in very lifelong subjects. The Indian mythology continuously speaks about the neuroplasticity. The Quran speaks of continuous the neuroplasticity. the reorganization, the readaptation, the lifelong learning. It's all the neuroplasticity is all about. It's not about only just bringing a motor function. It's about reaching the higher consciousness of life. It's about your destroying about your own self and reaching your own to the higher level. I always see many young people come and they say in my room, sir, I want to commit suicide. I said, the person who's sitting near you had made 5 attempts of suicide. All 5 attempts were failure. And now I tell people, is no use of making any attempt. Control your emotions. God has given a beautiful life. There is one life to live, little to give, and so much to share. And is love to be found. Just look around, and sunshine will appear. When I became an orphan, when my mother, brother, sister, everything left me, and I became a single man, I said, no, why should I live this life? I can go and join any monk life, monkhood. I have to develop my own spirituality. But then when I came to the class, I realized I have to live for my students. What I have learned, I have to unlearn myself. And I have to give whatever is with me. And if I take this to my graveyard, it is the biggest sin I will be making. Then all those thoughts start processing in my brain. I said all my workshop, the entire syllabus of the workshop will be changed from now on. People are coming to learn general things. People are coming for specialized things. Everything has to be specific. If you want to run really NIPS, okay, buy stimulators and learn it. If you don't want to learn NIPS, you came for this purpose, you learn that purpose. You have to decide for the purpose which you have. The purpose of your life will already decide what you want to learn. I have seen people have become wonderful people at the age of 85 years, 86 years. I saw a very good person who does very good broking, what he called prediction in share market at the age of 87. And he started learning share market at the age of 80 years. Now he's 87. And at 9:45, I just call him and ask him, what is the market trend of today? And I write down, right? And he gives me the accurate predictions. Almost his predictions are 90% accurate. Although I've never invested in share market because that is not my way of life. And that is called what? Neuroplasticity. You keep learning, keep processing, keep understanding, keep influencing yourself, keep motivating. And that is why it is said in Hindi कि ये मेरा और तेरा नहीं है प्रभु, ये मेरा भी नहीं है, ये सब तेरा है. Whatever you are doing for your higher consciousness. When you are reaching the higher consciousness, where you are want to perform complex actions, complications, when you want to deal with all complicated activities, at that time, this neuroplasticity and brain adaptation will help you to perform the complicated neural functioning which you have learned. Your hands will automatically tell you, your brain will automatically tell you this brain mapping is perfect, which is I have never thought for. 60% of the thing I did not thought. And every day I am correcting myself. So whenever I want to learn something, I write a book on it. I go through all the research papers. Go through all the entire books, whatever available with us. I read, I discuss. And then at the end of the day, I conclude, this was my mistake of life. And today I have to correct it. To find one mistake of my life in clinical mistakes, I have to write a book and a chapter. The reasons of my failure are the reasons of my success. What is the time right now? Huh?
Sir,
Sir, 9:46.
9:50.
How much time?
9:46.
9:40.
9:46. So we'll conclude this class today with a beautiful sharing that you are the one who is the master of your life. Now you see, when I came in the class, I was so much fear of Zoom, right? But learning every day from Zoom from you, sometimes Varun is teaching, sometimes you are teaching. Sir, you go to 3 line on the right side, 2 line on the left side, 2 line on the left. Oh, these are the options. No, 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 sir. Just next to this option, you click this option, you'll get this option. Then you'll go to this option, you get subsection. Somehow we have learned something. Now, higher complicated functions, we'll keep learning. Once a journey starts, it never ends better. But only your intention has to be. If my intention becomes like cheating you, misguiding you, taking money from you, the money will come, but my consciousness not will be cleared. A man with not a clear conscious mind cannot take a strong decision. The reason of doing complicated neurosurgery is learning complicated neurosurgical procedures was only possible in my mind when I realized I can do it. And I did it. And the only one who pats on my back is myself. Oh, I always tell myself, Chumu, Chumu, well done, Sastry. I knew you could do it. When a critical paralysis patient comes, I come to my room and I say first thing, Chumu, Chumu, Satil. There was a advertisement in Doordarshan at that time for a moisturizer of
Points.
very good
Points.
moisturizer.
Point cream.
Ponds,
Point
yes,
cream.
Ponds cream. So
Googling.
they
Googly googly
slowly,
whoosh. Googly
I
googly whoosh.
don't lollipop push, right? And I'm right. I saw it 20 years back, but that lollipop push is still in my brain. So that is how the advertisements are created because of the human psychology, right?
Yes.
Then where the demands are created, they create an image in your face with the emotions that if you use pond cream, you will also become lollipop push. The Fair and Lovely. I still remember I started using Fair and Lovely from with my mother from class 1 to 8. And finally in class 8, I said, it is 8 years I use this Fair and Lovely and it is good for nothing. And I said, you and your Fair and Lovely be used by you only. And my grandmother used to say, Kallu kalan kalya tu mal lagar le, teri kalas kadai na jaye. Means a person who is black, you put lot of bleaching also, when your skin will not become fair. So whatever God has given to you, be happy, improve yourself, improve your skills, improve your thought process. And then you see how you will grow. Don't never think the growth comes in a short term. Growth always comes in a long term. One is a trader, one is an investor. This is what I have learned in that 86-year-old man. When I sit with him for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and when we sit and discuss about the share market, he says, "You came to me as an investor or you came to me as a trader?" He said a very beautiful sentence. All the people what you see is having we have around 20,000 or 2 lakh or 200,000 or 5 lakh demat accounts. But how much is the success story? You can count in these fingers, 10 fingers. Why? Because they were traders. They came for trading. Not they did not come for investment. That is the reason why you did not succeed. You became a trader, not an investor. Everywhere you are looking for trading, 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 immediate gains. I don't know how far I am correct, but in my medical language, I always saw there are more traders than investors. So you may ask me a questions. Ask your questions. So if you don't want to ask your question, that means my teaching is not correct. Huh? I'm not a good teacher.
Hello.
Only a politician who comes and gives some political lectures, huh? Or Babaji who gives only a spiritual lecture. But
Not
spirituality is the beginning of the brain. Everything is interconnected. Wisdom, knowledge, skills, the energy, the conversion of energy. Everything is interconnected. I just remember when I did my first video editing. It's so horrible.
Thank you,
And now
sir.
when I do my video editing, it's very
हाँ
good.
तो कल गलती से हुआ था उधर सर नहीं
So nothing can happen in one day. So don't think that I want to influence you for buying pain, do that. I am least bothered. I have my own headaches and tension.
So these all are investment.
So I have my own tensions and anxieties. And we don't get time to be excited also because the moment one patient goes, the other phone calls, the things, the planning, the executions, the dreams, all explorations, managing the neurosurgeons, the group of neurosurgeons, tying up with other BNYs and sitting, making BNYs learn yoga and making BNYs learn neurosurgery. This is what I dream for the whole day. How to integrate BMS with neurosurgery, how to integrate with neurology, how to get electrodiagnostics, how to divide various chapters of neurosurgery into fellowship courses, how to encourage the neurosurgeons to take the classes and have patients to teach you. So all these things keep myself so busy. My day becomes from morning to night and from night to morning. So from 8 to 10, we have a specific classes. And Pokhara, it is better that you get this 3 pens. Don't put anything here because we have registered chores. Any pen you keep it here with you will be stolen. So Sandeep was telling me that you want to keep the pen over here. Please don't keep anything over here in my room. My room is open room. Anyone can come, anyone can go. So in my room, nothing is there. I still borrow the pens whenever I go. So whenever I go to France, I borrow the pens from the French people who have purchased it. Wherever I go to Italy, I borrow it from Italy. Whenever I go to Gurgaon, I borrow it from Sunil. Sunil, pens are there? Ah. Then I am a good. If you don't give me pens, I'm good for nothing. Because I have trained myself to work with pens. You have been trained yourself to get good output from me. So you bring the most complicated cases to get a good output in just 3 days. And this, your expectations has improved my skills to such a level that I can come to a world level and I speak these things today. Who created this pressure on me? You people. To improve this case in 3 days, Baba. One who's rejected by the best neurosurgeon, neurology, who was rejected from AIDS. You want me to improve that case in just 3 days? But at that time, I've been trained in such a way that I always think, even I can bring 20% improvement. That is best. And let me see what I can do.
Mm.
And that is how I have learned brain mapping. At that time, you will see my stress is at the highest level. The processing is so high that I don't sleep for 3 days.
Oh.
How to make such a big book into small chapters and give it to you? And that is why I keep writing notes. And I like writing notes because that was taught to me. And I have stopped that habit. So I became weak. If I have to become strong, I have to write notes. And by writing, I have three information: eye, hand, thinking, processing, and output. So remember one sentence of mine. Whatever you are hearing is an alphabet. Now this alphabet has to be made into sentence, which is meaningful and giving a meaningful out. You are just collecting alphabets from, right? Now you have to comprise them into a good vocabulary, good sentence to make it a meaningful part of your life. Am I correct or wrong?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are correct, sir.
So there's only one student in this class, MK Sastry. He will only come, he will only speak, he will only write, he will only give notes, and he will only learn from his class. And then he is the one to say thank you so much,
No, sir.
for teaching me wonderful things of life. Hmm?
Mhm.
It is because of you I have to improve myself every day. How to
Yes.
keep you motivated, how to keep you improved, how to bring you to this loop from that direction to this direction, right? You have been in multiple directions, but to channelize your energy from this direction to this direction, then only specialist will become. Otherwise, how will you become a specialist? Doing whatever you like is not a specialization. By doing things in a proper way and correcting them, this is specialization. This is what we require. Am I right or wrong?
Right, sir.
Hmm?
Right,
Yes, sir.
right,
You
sir.
are
Right,
right.
sir.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir. You are
Right,
right,
sir.
sir.
You're right.
You are right, sir.
To put the butter on the bread, always you will say, I'm right. You are a great butterer. But remember, I don't like gluten, so I don't eat bread. Hmm.
No, sir.
So
This
don't
is
try
not.
to. Huh?
No, sir. This is not butter. This is fact, sir. What are you saying is right, sir.
Only Galaji's fact, not of others.
No, sir. Not I am only. All
Hmm.
No, sir.
some people
It's
can
not a
speak,
butter.
some people don't speak, but they understand, sir, what you want to say.
Why do people don't speak? Who
Sir,
stops them from speaking?
what is the fear or what, sir? These all peoples in front of all peoples, they cannot speak. Even they
But why why
close
you why you are you able to speak and why they are not able to speak?
their.
You are also the same like them.
Yeah, sir.
What
No,
is the
sir.
difference between you and them?
Sir, I am a listener. I am learning. So don't any comments for yours.
I don't say anything. Did I say anything? Did
No,
I
sir.
scold anyone?
No.
We are
Did I
listening,
scold?
sir. Each and every words of yours. We are actually listening each and every words of yours.
See, when I came in association with Quran and Jagannath Prabhu's mythology, and then Jain, both Terapanthi, Mandir Margi, and the Gabar Jain. When I read these books, One equality I found was, you know what? By the books of Rumi and all this. Who has spoiled our life? We ourselves. And who can improve our life? We ourselves. Detaching yourself from material things and attaching yourself with a higher thing is called Krishna consciousness. The moment you understand that the time on the table is the perfect moment for you to do the right activities. The time you understand the patient on the table is my own relative, and you should perform well on the table, and you are not able to perform, it's okay. Don't be guilty. You have to go learn, relearn, practice, and tomorrow you will be successful. It's just like skating. I
Could be.
Sir, what happened?
Hello, Sir Walid.
Sastry ji has left the class, so I'm closing class for everybody. Good night,
Yes, yes.
everybody. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you, Engineer Walid.
Good
Thank